Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion, and in this video I'll be talking about match 3 of this tournament, or the second game today, and that's the game being the game between the Punjab Kings and the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Now, regarding the starting 11s of both teams, there weren't too many surprises. For RCB, considering Maxwell and Hazelwood weren't available for this game, won't be available for a few games. Shafin Rutherford and David really were the kind of the replacements for those two, with the likes of Duplessis and Hasaranga being in the team as two of the overseas players, even with everyone around. So that was that. And they didn't actually play another frontline spinner. They played Shahbaz Ahmed along with Hasaranga. They played the extra seamer in Akash Deep. And Shahbaz Ahmed actually only brought one over in the entire innings. But in the end, they went with the extra pacer. And apart from that, there weren't really too many surprises in this 11. And for the Punjab Kings, they played three overseas players today in Rajapaksa, Livingston, and O'Dane Smith. Once again, not too many surprises. Played Raj Bowa today. I'm not really sure that he fits in when everyone's there, but they gave him the debut today. And since apparently Rajapaksa is a keeper as well, I haven't really seen him keep too much, but apparently he is a keeper, so he kept wickets today, and that would mean he's in the side as a Johnny Bairstow backup. In the squad as Johnny Bairstow backup, and he started the game today with the bowling attack being mostly local, apart from Modine Smith, in Harpreet Brar, Arshdeep Singh, Sandeep Sharma, and Rahul Chahar. And so the Punjab Kings won the toss and chose to bowl first. And Faf du Plessis and Anuj Rawat were the opening batsmen for RCB. Now, there was actually a poll when Virat Kohli was actually batting. There was actually a poll, and I think it started a bit before then, to say where should Kohli bat in this team, number 3 or opening, and 80% of the votes came back as number 3. Now, before the tournament started, I actually thought I would have just like how good it would be to have an opening partnership of Duplessis and Virat Kohli. I thought that he should open the batting, but then I actually think they got it right in the end. Anuj Rawat kind of being that left-hander to open alongside Duplessis with Kohli at number 3, a position that RCB have kind of filled kind of in a makeshift way with Shahbaz Ahmed, etc. from before. KS Bharat did a really good job in that position last season, but he's moved to the Delhi Capitals. So that assurance at number 3 was, in my view, the best batsman to ever play cricket. And then you've got still Anuj Rawat to open the batting today and looked quite good. Then that still worked well for RCB, and this batting side honestly looks really good. They scored 205 today, and it will only get better when Glenn Maxwell arrives. So, starting from the opening partnership, though, it was quite a slow one. 50 of 42 deliveries as the opening partnership. And I think in the actual partnership graphic, it's a 50 of 45, considering the non-legal deliveries as well, I think. And it was a way where in the last over of the power play, Morne Morku on commentary said the average score here is 147, and that means the RCB have done quite well so far. But straight after that, Deep Das Gupta said that that was apparently from 10 years ago, and he said that they'll be looking to get at least 160 and beyond. And both those estimates were kind of in relation to the fact that it was quite a sedate start. And yet, I kind of thought, if you look at how high scoring this game ended up being, and the momentum completely throughout the second innings, but no part of the second innings was sedate, it was just completely in contrast to how the start to the RCB innings was. And I think that even the reason why the opening partnership for RCB was stretched above a run a ball was because of the extras. Now, in both of these innings, there were 23 and 22 extras respectively. And if you're looking at bowler-induced extras, you've got 12 wides for the Punjab Kings, and also there was a kind of a 4 leg byes, which were for a ball that went down the leg side. So 16 bowler-induced extras, and I guess certainly a lot of them coming at the top of the innings. which certainly put Faf du Plessis' innings, held it afloat. 10 off 19 at one stage, 1 off 11 was struggling, but wasn't too bad because of the 3 runs that he got really from the opposition. And yeah, despite the fact that the scoring rate was really under a run a ball because of Faf du Plessis' start, the innings was still held afloat at above a run a ball because of the extras. And I really think that Faf du Plessis just didn't. The reason why he was able to really keep his cool, yes, he's a very calm cricketer, but the reason why I think he was able to keep his cool even more is because he'd realized that there were still those other runs caused by the bowler that kept the run rate above 6 and over, even though he was scoring at well under a run a ball. So Anuj Rawat was the aggressor really in this partnership, even though he too was striking at just over 100. He played some good shots. A shot where he just charged, I think, a seamer and hit him for 6 over mid wicket. And yeah, it was a good partnership of 50. And at that point, we had no idea that the game would go as it went. Anuj Rawat was dismissed by Deepak Chahar, and he had actually played a shot before, and he was just trying to take him on, and he got dismissed a ball before. Chahar bowled excellently today, 1 for 22 in his 4 overs, really good from him. And then there was a partnership that was completely contrasting with what the opening partnership was. 118 off 65 deliveries in Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli. Now, the moment these two kind of were batting at the crease, the commentators brought up the fact that in the last few years they don't strike as highly against spin. And for the first time in at least a year or two, I would say, it's been so long since we kind of saw the fact that over 7 to 15, this is a phase where RCB scored the slowest out of all the teams in the IPL. They actually scored at just above 11 from over 7 to 15 in this case. At the start, there was a lot of running between the wickets from Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis. And Faf du Plessis afterwards just chose to cut loose. And when he cut loose, he went from 20 off 32 to 68. He scored 68 off his last 25 deliveries. Virat Kohli as well, 2 sixes and 1 4. A lot of the running between the wickets gave the strike to Faf du Plessis. And it also helped that even then, Kohli was striking at 141.37 while playing second fiddle. So also a good innings from him. And a great partnership, 118 out of 65. And after so long, RCB really scoring at this kind of a rate in the middle overs, so the 7 to 15, where they would usually be quite conservative. Again, we hadn't really seen this for a long time. And Faf du Plessis was caught by Shah Rukh Khan. Had a bit of a mixed day in the field, but generally, I thought even the opportunities that he did have were quite difficult. So I wouldn't really say that. I certainly think that he had still a better day in the field. It's been including some great stops and so on. But then Dinesh Karthik walked out of bat and showed why I personally think since 2017 he's been the best finisher in the world. 32 of 14, Virat Kohli once again giving the strike to Dinesh Karthik, and he really played magnificently. 32 of 14, 3 4s and 3 6s. And helped by the extras as well, 205 for 2. An outstanding innings from RCB. Their batting looks really good. And going to the bowling for Punjab Kings, you could say there were a few good performances. Arshdeep Singh and Rahul Chahar, 1 for 31 and 1 for 22 respectively. Sandeep Sharma, in the context of the situation when you're conceding at above 10 and over for the overall innings, 37 runs in 4 overs, it would have been par, I would say. You still wouldn't be happy with it, but it was probably par. But the overs that really kind of just went out the window. 3 for 30, none for 38 and 3, Harpreet Brar. None for 14 for Liam Nielsen, 1 over, and none for 52 and 4 for Odean Smith. And for Odean Smith, there's kind of a pattern as what deliveries were going for more runs. When he bowled quicker, they weren't going for as many runs, and when he tried to bowl slower balls, I think Murali Karthik also said in commentary when he was being hit around to say he's veering away from his strengths. And it's clearly the case when if you saw, yes, Karthik tried to play it in a funky way and missed the ball, but at 148.8 kph delivery, I think in his last over, that wasn't hit at all, kind of like a Yorker basically, and then the other ones that were slower were. So a clear trend to say what deliveries were hit and what weren't. And his bowling is work in progress. He is not a 4 overs bowler nor a proper batsman. And so having to, yes, he hit some sixes at the end, but you can't rely on him kind of sort of like you would do a more batting all-rounder, let's say, at that number 6 position. So I think that the fact that he had to bowl 4 overs today because only 3 seam bowling options, he was part of the main 3 seamers, he had to bowl 4 already, wasn't too great. And I think that that was pretty much the thing which really hurt them. Also, Harpreet Brar and Liam Livingston also aren't out and out rule bowlers. So and none for 52 if you combine their overs as well. So 104 runs in 8 overs. That was kind of the propellant along with the extras to get 205 for 2 for RCB, along with great batting. So yes, great batting from RCB, and surprise, they conceded, because I asked this question on camera to, even in my previous videos, right, if they had to defend 200 runs, how many times out of 10 would they win? What, 3 or 4 max? And after this, I mean, you kind of just think it was, from Punjab's point of view, a structured innings. No one scored a 50, but they won with 1 over to spare. The structure chasing a score above 200 was outstanding from Punjab. Yes, they were helped with the lineup that they've got, the power pack lineup that they've got. But it would have easily been kind of, you could say with the kind of players that they have, they could have easily just tried to go a bit too hard and lost that structure, which I'm going to talk about one player which still seems like he may do that. But Shikhar Dhawan, Mayank Agarwal, 43, 32 respectively. Baneka Rajapaksa in today, and I want to say he took his Sri Lankan teammates from RCB and Marinder Hasaranga to the cleaners. And Odean Smith, 25 of 8. I mean, when him and Shah Rukh Khan there, when 5 wickets fell, you never thought RCB were going to win the game, even though Mohammad Siraj took those 2 wickets and 2 balls, and you thought they were giving a fight at that point in time. You just thought RCB were never really going to win the game, with a brilliant structural batting from Punjab, and yeah, it's kind of a walk in the park overall for them in this chase. And I have no idea why David Willey was bowling almost like a left-arm Vernon Philander, but kind of he was just being toyed around with him, just in terms of the keeper being brought up as well. Shikhar Dhawan just toying around with him. And yeah, 63 runs in the power play itself. And even before then, even before a ball was bowled, you just thought RCB's bowling, Punjab's batting. You just kind of thought those two don't go well for RCB. And unsurprising, this result. And I thought with the extras column, yes, for RCB 22 extras, Punjab 23, but for bowler-induced extras, 21 wides out of 22 and 1 leg by. So 21 wides out of 22 were caused by the bowlers for RCB. So that's literally the definition of just even more, just free runs, just all because of the bowlers. So yeah, they didn't help themselves with that. Even when Siraj got 2 wickets in 2 balls, he then bowls 3 wides in the same over. 2 for 59 in 4 overs. And I'm going to say this once again. If this was in the UAE, it's completely different, because you can still, a huge part of it is just kind of controlling the innings by making sure you don't go for too many runs, and that you can get a bit of seam movement. And there wasn't really the case where he had to bowl at the death too much in situations like he would have to bowl in this tournament, with more runs being involved and more fast-paced scoring as well involved in this year's tournament with where it's being played. And there's a question you had to ask it. I asked it before, I'm going to ask it again. What is a safe situation to bowl Mohammad Siraj in this year's tournament? There isn't one. And from the very start, he gave runs. He bowled a few decent Yorkers, which shows that he can do it, but yet he's not been great at the death. And 2 for 29 in 4 overs, 259 in 4 overs. I'm not surprised at all, really. They're going to have to figure that out, because He's good when he just hit the seam in the UAE. You don't have to worry too much about death bowling. And even when you do have to bowl there, not in the same situations where it's much more in favor of the batsman when you're playing in tracks in Mumbai. And yeah, I just think that yeah, that's something they're gonna have to figure out. Hasaranga and Harshal Patel. Now Harshal Patel, considering what he got a bit of tap towards the end, and yet 1 for 36 and 4 defending 206. I actually think it's a very good performance. Well, not well, yeah. You know what? I actually think 1 for 36, and even though he got tap and bowled 5 wides as well, so clearly he didn't help himself. But 1 for 36 even then, you know what? I good. I actually think that, as I said, too much for Harshal Patel to do. I think that's quite good figures for him there. Um, and Hasaranga, also, I know he went for 1 for 14, 10 overs, was hit around by Rajapaksa, but I think I don't think he did terribly. I still think that there's some hope. Nowhere near a Chahel, but he's got some potential. We all know that, and I certainly think that from this, I don't think there are any alarm bells ringing about his bowling. I certainly think they'll be able to get at least something out of him going through the tournament. Hazelwood would be back as well. That would certainly help them. But as I said, the only problem is if someone just tries to go off to the side, who's gonna get you that wicket out of the blue? You may say Hasaranga, but his Sri Lankan counterpart absolutely hit him around today, and he's no Chahel. If you're going to say that for Chahel, he's done that so many times for RCB, but in the tough overs. Is Hasaranga going to do that at his current stage of development? I don't think so. Mohammad Siraj, wherever you bowl him in an innings, it is a risk. And had too much for Harshal Patel to do, and maybe Josh Hazelwood as well. He's going to have to help him out. And yeah, RCB's bowling, while you've got some bowlers like Harshal Patel and Hazelwood, and maybe Hasaranga in some cases, but I mostly think you'll be relying on Harshal Patel and Hazelwood. The others are going to have to pull their weight, because I can just see whenever the batting looks brilliant, but whatever they score, they're going to be conceding 200 runs quite frequently. And I want to talk about two things from Punjab. One, Liam Livingstone. Now, they bought him for 11 crores. And as I said before, I just don't think he's going to do that well personally. I just think that as I've said, he does well in England. He does well he did well in the T10 as well, but in the subcontinental leagues, especially in the IPL, he just hasn't done well at all. And he was in the form of his life. He hasn't done too much at all. He was in the form of his life when he turned up for the second instalment of last year's IPL. Scored 144, then a couple of 20s, did nothing. Had not too great of a PSL this time around, and you kind of just thought, 11 crores really playing in a situation where he was in the form of his life and he didn't do much. What's he gonna do now? So 11 crores I think is ridiculous. And I know he offers overs and everything, but that's not the reason why you play him. You play him for his batting. And I even thought, I said this before, and I think this innings just shows it. And I know it's only one game, yes, and you may think, right, he hit 2 6s, but if this happens more, if you kind of just, if this is the kind of contributions you get from Livingston, which is similar to what you got from the games he played last season, Rajapaksa has shown he's not only is a Johnny Bairstow backup, but he will be competing for a place in the 11 with Liam Livingstone. And if he plays at number 4 or 5, well, with what he's shown today, they aren't in any bad stead whatsoever as a side, the Punjab Kings, to have this kind of a player in the side. You're not playing Livingston for his bowling. You only bowled 1 over today, and in these conditions, Livingston's bowling really gonna even get you a wicket out of the blue. Maybe once in the tournament if they just try to go after him. But apart from that, Rajapaksa would be more consistent in my view in these conditions. And if Liam Livingstone, if this is the kind of impact he has, which I have a feeling it will be, I hope I get proven wrong, but it's just been kind of time and time again at this point now, where I just don't think for 11 crores it's going to be, but not even for 5 crores, I would say it would have been just, we've seen quite a few times that it's the T10 and the 100, yes, but I just don't think in the IPL it's going to work out. So Rajapaksa can compete with Liam Livingstone, and yeah, let's see how that goes. Another thing here, Odean Smith. Of course, I'm going to talk about him from what I said about Daniel Sams in my last video. 25 of 8, yes, but none for 52 and 4 overs. As I said, not a 4 overs bowler. And yeah, I know Rabada will be back, so they wouldn't be playing him as one of the 4 seamers, which is a good thing for Punjab. And it would probably alleviate the pressure on him with the ball. But also, he's got 25 of 8, yes, but he gave 52 runs, and yet he isn't, you wouldn't really say he's an outright batsman either. He's supposed to be a bowling all-rounder, so another one of those players that just are in the team more for their batting than their bowling, even though they are in for their bowling. And absolutely ludicrous that he got the man of the match. I'm sorry. I mean, 25 of 8, even though you've given 52 runs to actually result in the team chasing this kind of score, I think is absolutely ridiculous. So, look, he hit some sixes, yes, but he's going to have to improve with the ball. He is a bowling all-rounder, and if he wants to become a batting all-rounder, so be it, and bat at number 6, but then he has to deliver consistently. And at this point, would you say, despite the fact he does hit sixes when he walks out to bat, would you put him in the category of like those other West Indian batting all-rounders? Yes, there are the greats like Karen Pollard and Andre Russell, with the level of bowling that he offers. But that's what I mean. It's kind of, he has to just distinguish between 1 and 2. And at this point, it seems I don't want to. I'm not too tempted to go for the batting thing yet, because like, he is a bowling all-rounder. Yes, he hits a few sixes, but I really think that he's gonna have to deliver more with the ball. Certainly not give 52 runs, because all right, it works this time. 25 of 80 hit sixes, but certainly would it work all the time? No, because we've seen with Daniel Sams that it doesn't work. So that's something that they're gonna have to think about as well. But overall, I just think that with Rabada back, would probably be in place of Rajangad Bawa. Yeah, this is looking like a very good team for now. They're probably best to the Rajapaksa, but personally for me, I wouldn't be surprised if Liam Livingstone's benched if this continues, and Rajapaksa's put into the side, because a powerful side. Yes, they don't have a second spinner. Harpreet Brad's gonna have to deliver, but yeah, let's see how he goes. But Arshdeep Singh, Sandeep Sharma, Rabada, and Odean Smith as a 4th seamer. Then you add in his batting as well. Yeah, this side's looking very, very powerful. And it's not looking like too bad of a bowling side. They've still got something to work with, so let's see how things go. And yeah, great batting from both the sides, but RCB's bowling is going to have to learn a bit more, unsurprisingly. And yeah, let's see how they go. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?